Good evening, Mr. Bond fans, and welcome once again. So it's been a while since I did a video addressing some of the production updates on Bond 25, and a lot has happened since my last video. So starting with some of the less good news, there was a test explosion that went wrong on a set at Pinewood Studios. Daniel Craig broke his ankle, meaning that filming had to be postponed for a little while with him. And allegedly, Cary Fukunaga, the director, was late to set because he couldn't stop playing Red Dead Redemption 2 on his PlayStation 4. All these kind of stories have led to tabloids and social media outlets kind of, positioning it as, this is a cursed Bond film, it's doomed, all this kind of stuff, and a lot of that is very sensationalist, and I think that the Bond series is always under a certain level of scrutiny from the press, and these kind of production issues will happen a lot on big movie productions, and we've seen it before in Bond films. I mean, Pierce Brosnan injured his ankle on Die Another Day, for example. Daniel Craig has been injured before on previous Bond films. And I feel like we kind of went through a bit of a bad news period with Bond 25, where it felt like every single story was just doom and gloom. Oh my god, it's doomed, it's never... People were like talking about on social media like, oh, do you think the film will ever even be released? And it's like, well, yes, of course it's going to be released. But these are problems, of course, that will affect the production, but ultimately we're still going to be getting Bond 25 directed by Cary Fukunaga next year. And now we're in a bit of like a good news kind of phase, I think, because like Rami Malek came out because there was another story about because of Daniel Craig's injury, they couldn't film scenes together or whatever, and he's come out and said, well, that's not true, obviously. And Cary Fukunaga had to come out, of course, and say that he was not being late to the set because he was playing PlayStation. I mean, that's one of the more kind of strange bits of information to come out of the production of this film. I mean, my main disappointment with that is that he wasn't testing out a new potential James Bond game. There was also a story about apparently the director and Daniel Craig were having some kind of, heated argument on the set of the film in Jamaica, and I had to roll my eyes at that. I mean, as if, like, film production is this, incredibly, easy, like, Stepford Wives kind of event. It's like, yeah, of course there's gonna be some heated exchanges, and that's a good part of creative development in a lot of cases, I think. And if either of them felt very strongly about their vision and the other one was contradictory and they've come to some sort of middle ground in that, then great. I mean, I was also like, when the news hit about the heated argument, I just kind of looked at some of the stills that were being used to accentuate this point, stills from the set, and I was like, why would you think they're arguing, like, by looking at this? It doesn't look like... They're not, like, in each other's faces and, like, raising fists or anything. And then, of course, Daniel Craig was pictured back in his training regime with this awesome picture of just his muscles bulging as he works out for the production, which is, of course, really great because there is no question about his physical form. And I suppose the production probably just saw this as an opportunity to film all of his scenes standing still and sitting down. And then one of the weirder bits of news that came out was that apparently someone was hiding a camera in the ladies' toilets on the set, which is just bizarre. Fortunately, the man suspected of doing this has been apprehended, and that's all very good. I just don't know what he would have expected to do with video of, like, Lea Seydoux peeing. Is there an audience for that? Yes, Calvin, there is definitely an audience for that. People are perverse. So that's kind of the bad stuff out of the way. In terms of good stuff, we have Aston Martins galore. I can't imagine what kind of conversation went down with Aston Martin to result in 3 Aston Martins appearing in this film, but great! So we have, of course, the return of the Aston Martin DB5, we have the new Aston Martin Valhalla, and we have the return of the Aston Martin from The Living Daylights. Yeah, it looks like the Aston Martin Vantage is gonna be in this film, which I am so psyched about, I can't tell you. I mean, that scene where it's used in The Living Daylights is one of the best car chases in the whole series, and I'm just kind of looking forward to getting out of the box of just using the DB5 and then whatever the newest, latest Aston Martin is. I'm glad that we're revisiting some of the other more classic aspects of the Bond series. The thing about the older Aston Martins appearing in this film is, of course, opens up questions about the timeline, which I'm expecting to be a point of discussion when the film is released, because if the Vantage includes all the gadgets that we saw in the Living Daylights and Bond refers to it, ah yes, that car of mine that I drove before, that will open up a whole smorgasbord of questions. Based on some of the location photographs from Norway as well, it looks like the cars are going to be involved in some pretty exciting action sequences. They've been filming in some pretty amazing Norwegian locations, so I'm very, very excited about that aspect of the film. And I know that a few videos ago I said I wasn't going to be going into this level of detail when it came to production aspects. I was hoping to be relatively spoiler-free, but the sphere that I exist in on social media, the people that I follow, and all news outlets, you know, targeted ads for news sites and all that kind of stuff, just kind of, you know, I'm just scrolling through Twitter and I see this stuff, and it's hard not to get a bit excited about it. And while I'm not going to be going into any detailed spoilers, I mean, like, if a script leaks, there's no way I'm reading it, but there are some aspects of the production that are going to be spoiled for me, but I'm just so excited about this film, I kind of can't help myself. But as I've said time and time again, I don't care that the timeline is inconsistent. You kind of have to give each Bond film its own mulligan when it comes to that. I mean, like with the DB5 in Skyfall, for example, the fact that it's kitted out with all of the classic gadgets that we know from Goldfinger, you know what, I'm not going to let it affect my enjoyment of the film with pedantic timeline questions. It's just not really that important. And probably the most exciting piece of news to come out of Bond 25 is that Prince Charles went and visited the set. I mean, the fact that he visited the set isn't necessarily the thing that I got excited about. Rather the fact that he was, you know, videoed and photographed going through some of the MI6 locations, chatting to some of the MI6 cast, and I was just getting kind of excited by some of the little details that I was seeing in the background. So we saw M's office, for example, and then we have also had a glimpse of Q Branch, very exciting. And also, the detail that I absolutely love is that there's a bit of Prince Charles and Naomi Harris watching some monitors, and behind them is a very good portrait of Dame Judy, and I love this. I mean, it's very reminiscent of the Bernard Lee portrait from The World Is Not Enough, and I am just really glad that her impact on the series is being remembered. She's still a figure appearing in these films, even if it is just in painting form. Can't help but feel a bit sorry for Robert Brown as the only M so far to have finished in the role and then not be acknowledged or, you know, remembered as fondly as Bernard Lee and Judi Dench. I'm just glad that there is some good press coming out about the film. We still don't have a title. I'm really hoping that we will be getting that sometime in the next couple of months, hopefully with some kind of teaser poster, which would be quite nice. But my advice would be to take every kind of negative tabloid story with a bit of a pinch of salt and, you know, celebrate the better bits of news that we get. Because there's just been so much negativity around Bond 25 in the press, and I'm certainly sick of it when I'm getting more and more excited about this film. So that's my take on some of the biggest stories concerning the Bond 25 production. I'm really hoping that the next time I do a video like this, we're gonna have a title and a teaser poster at the very least. That would be very nice. Have I missed out anything? Because because like I say, there was so much going on that I may well have missed a couple of points. If I have, do let me know in the comments below, and also please let me know your takes on some of the more recent news. And until next time, Bond fans, so long for now.